Welcome back, Miss Curdy here, and today we are going to be comparing fractions that have the same denominator. So for the first two lessons, we were talking about finding fractions that were the exact same amount. But now we want to talk about fractions that might be greater or less than each other. So when we start comparing them, we're first going to be looking at fractions that all have the same exact denominator. And remember that is our bottom number in a fraction. So, just a reminder, the denominator tells us how many pieces the whole has been partitioned up into. And we know that the larger the denominator, the smaller the size of each piece. And if you forget, that's okay. Just look at your fraction strip resource. I'm going to grab it out real quick, and it will remind us that, let's say here we have fourths. When you go all the way down to 12ths, you'll notice that the pieces get smaller and smaller. A half is a lot larger than just that 1/12 down there. So the larger the denominator, like a 12 down here, the smaller the size of each piece. The smaller the denominator, the larger the piece. You can see as they keep going down and getting larger, the pieces actually get smaller. So when we're looking at fractions that have the same denominator, that means they have the same size pieces. To compare these fractions, we just need to look at the numerator to figure out which one has more pieces. So let's look down here. I'm going to zoom in a bit. All right. So here we're going to compare 3/8 and 4/8. And this picture here shows 1, 2, 3 eighths, and down here 1, 2, 3, 4/8. So looking at these two fractions, it's very clear to see that if you have 4 pieces that are the same size as those 3 pieces, our 4/8 are going to be larger than our 3/8 because the pieces are the same size, but 4/8 has more pieces. So let's take a look down here. Again, we're going to be comparing fractions that have the same size denominator, so the same size pieces. So is 1/3 larger or 2/3? And here I see I've got 2 pieces. Here I only have 1 piece. The pieces are the same size because their denominator is both 3. And again, I can look at my fraction resource and I can say here's 1/3. Here are 2/3. 1/3 is clearly bigger than 2/3. 1/3 is clearly smaller than 2/3. All right, let's take a look at this. I look at my denominator and I know that they are the same exact size pieces. So what's going to be more, 5 pieces or 1 piece? And here we know that 5 pieces will be greater. And last but not least, take a look at this one. Look at your denominator. Notice that they are both the same size denominator, so all the pieces are the exact same size. What is going to be more, 4 or 50? And take a moment to go ahead and fill that in. So looking at that, we know that 50 will be more than 4. So again, to recap, when comparing fractions that have the same denominator, that's very important, the same denominator, we look at the numerators. Whoever has the larger numerator will be the larger sized fraction. That's it for 13-3. Go ahead and start practicing, and if you need a mini lesson, let your teacher know. And if you need to pull out your fraction strips or your resources, you may do so to help you. Have a great day, and I'll see you back here for lesson 13-4.